Welcome to Ultimate Survival Gear. Today, as you guys can see, for the first time on this channel, I have something from Puma. Actually, I love this brand. Let's open up the box and see what we got, because this is their trail running shoes, Puma Pacer Future Trail Sneaker. Check that, look how cool this thing looks. Very futuristic look. Overall, I do like the comfort level. Obviously, I do like the look, even though I usually don't comment about the design because this is very personal. Overall, pretty good. I do have a few minor complaints. Stick around to find out. Let's get into the main review. As some of you already know, this is not just a regular sneaker review. This is Ultimate Survival sneaker. Well, boots, because it's a whole section, but in this case, sneaker review. Basically, if this wasn't just your regular running sneaker, but something bad happened and you were wearing these, or maybe you had them in the house and you put them on and now you had to leave the house, walk for miles, run, fight, climb, swim, sleep in these without taking them off for weeks, I don't know, whatever. Think about your surround situation. Would they be good for that? And I mean, at the end of the day, would they just be good as a normal running, training, whatever the hell sneaker you kind of use it for? How do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Let's begin. Criteria number 1, of course, is the comfort level. One of the most important ones. And in order to test the comfort level of all the shoes, boots, whatever I review on this channel, I do a 3-mile run non-stop and then a 5-mile walk, no pauses in between, and then I continue wearing the shoes for the rest of the day so that the total wear time is about 8 hours. I stick to these numbers to make sure that I have very similar, very equal baseline to everything I review on this channel. That way my reviews are kind of even, right? There is no bias in between the two. So comfort wise, like I said, they are very comfortable. There are a few factors that contribute to the comfort level. Let's start with the first one, the weight. And I have my scale over here. This is size 10, and I have to say, just from the feel, they are definitely on the heavier side, and I can see that the most of the weight you can clearly see it's in this massive midsole. So I think they would probably be somewhere around 15.1. Let's see, 15.1 if I got it correctly. 15.5. Well, pretty close. 556. Wow, 556. I love that number. So 15.5. I have to say this is definitely on the heavier side for the sneaker. Overall, it's not bad. To give you the reference numbers, you are looking, if you want something lightweight, you're looking for something under 20 ounce. The more under 20 ounce it is, the lighter, the more over 20 ounce, the heavier. Now, this is definitely under 20 ounce, but keep in mind that 20 ounce mark is more for the boots, okay? So you don't really want to look for that 20 ounce mark on the sneaker. On the sneaker, 15 is okay, but for the sneaker, you want to be looking for something around 10. Now, when you put that 10 mark, you can see it's 5 ounce over 10, so it's definitely on the heavier side for the sneaker. Okay, not that huge of a deal, but keep that in mind. Another thing that contributes or takes away from the comfort level is the flexibility of the outsole. And here, as you can see, it's definitely flexible. It creases in all the right places. There's nothing hard here to create a pressure point, so pretty good. Moving on to the inner sole, I'm gonna take this inner sole out and I'm gonna show it to you. Check this out. As you can see, the inner sole, they're soft foam, Puma soft foam. Nothing crazy over here. It's a thicker foam, so it does have extra cushioning. However, there is no heel pad, there is no arch support. It's really just flat inner sole. Once you remove this inner sole, you go straight into the hard midsole rubber. Well, besides that white cover that they use, not a big deal still. It's very, very hard. Keep that in mind. Honestly, with that much of the midsole, I expected a little bit more cushioning. Again, not a big deal, just keep in mind that this is what you're getting. Let's talk about the padding. There's some padding in the tongue, some padding in the shaft and the heel area going through the whole sneaker. You do have some padding coming up all the way to the front, but still the front is a little bit hard, so Important to get them in the right size so that you're not pressing your toe into that harder front of the toe box. Overall, on the comfort level, let me tell you guys, decent, very comfortable, but that weight takes away from that comfort for sure. All right, so if you're looking specifically for a running shoe, you might get tired pretty quickly in these, all right, compared to something that wouldn't be unnecessarily heavy like that. Honestly, the size of the midsole, I cannot justify the size of the midsole. It's a little bit too thick, but it's up to you, really. It's your personal decision whether you want to go with it or not. So let's move on to the criteria number 2 now, proofing and protection. Now, whenever it comes to proofing, there's really not much to talk about here. They are not waterproof, all right, obviously. There's no waterproofing in these sneakers. The tongue is not gusseted pretty much at all. There is a little bit of gusseting, but still it's very low clearance, so don't get wet, all right? Now, whenever it comes to the protection, again, there is really not much to talk about here whenever it comes to protection. The toe box is pretty soft. There is a little bit of the front here to kind of, you know, if you're running on the rocky road, to kind of protect you a little bit from some impact, but don't drop anything heavy on top, because this is just a design. It's very, very soft. Obviously, your ankles are open here. It's a sneaker, okay, and the heel does have a little bit of reinforcement. There's a little bit of this support thing, even though I didn't really notice any kind of difference to it. But overall, you get from a sneaker what you would get from any regular normal sneaker. There's plenty of protection, obviously, from the outsole, because there is this massive midsole in between, so you only get decent protection from the bottom. Let's move on to the criteria number 3, quality and the design features. Now, quality wise, Puma obviously is a massive brand. They're very popular. They have a lot of good stuff out there, so quality wise they are definitely pretty good. This particular sneaker does not have quite that many reviews on Amazon just yet. Maybe more is coming, but the Amazon link is in the description below. You can check it out. Now, let's talk about some design features. Usually here I talk about the lacing system. Lacing system here is actually really, really good. It's my favorite. It's kind of on the thicker side, more dense, round. As you can see, strings, lacing system, pretty good. Now, there are some fabric. They're all closed hooks, obviously. Nothing surprising here, but there's variety. There is some rings, there's some fabric going on, and there's this weird kind of plasticky feel type of, and then there's another ring. So overall, you pretty good lacing system. It's very proportional whenever you're tightening it, so not much really to talk about here. Let's move on to another important criteria is criterion number 4, outsole traction and stability. So whenever I do my run and my walk that I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I do it on a variety of different surfaces. I do it on asphalt, tarmac, dry sand, dry grass, wet grass, rocky road, trail surface, marble tile, concrete, just a whole bunch of different surfaces to make sure I test outsole as much as possible. Now, this outsole is pretty good. I know that there is a little bit of confusion on the shoe. Some places say that it's just a running shoe, it's a regular running shoe. Some places say that it's a trail running shoe. And in the name too, it says Pacer Future Trail sneaker. So you get an impression that this is a trail running shoe. Now, on the trail, it handles pretty good. It does have decent amount of aggression. These grooves are pretty aggressive. As you can see, it's pretty good. However, overall, there is a little bit of slipperiness to it whenever you're running on slippery stuff like wet grass, for example. Just because of the design, it's too predictable, the design. There is no really trying to find the right words how to explain. As you can see, these grooves, they all are going into the same direction, all right? Whenever you are looking for a good trail running sneaker, you want very similar aggression. You want a good quality rubber like it is here, very hard, very dense on this outsole layer. That's what you want, and that's the case here. But you want the grooves that kind of are multi-directional. So whenever you're, depending on how you're running, what you're doing, uphill, downhill, maybe it's some kind of wet grass, maybe you're making a turn, maybe you're stopping. You have from every angle that kind of grip that your outsole is catching for you. Here, as you can see, it's only one direction, and that creates a little bit of the problem. So I wish that Puma implemented the same outsole, just in a little bit of kind of multi-directional. All right. Anyway, overall it's pretty decent, especially if you are just using them as regular running shoes. If you're running on you know, typical asphalt, tarmac type of surface, running in the park would be pretty good, except for being a little bit on the heavier side. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 5 really quickly, the temperature. These are obviously pointless to talk about cold. Don't get them for cold, don't get them for winter, but for hot temperatures, pretty good, pretty breathable. Did not overheat at all. It was about 95 degrees whenever I was running here in Florida, but overall very nice and breathable. Let's move on to the criteria number 6, sizing really quickly. Yes, these are true to the size, no problems there. Criteria number 7, balance of application. So if this really was your ultimate survival shoe, right? Ultimate survival sneaker. You put them on, something bad happened, and now you are surviving. Would this be good? Personally, I would never choose anything like this. But if this really was the case, if you are going with a running sneaker for your ultimate survival situation, you are probably a good runner, and your strategy is to just run as far, as long as possible to get to the safety. This is not exactly a good running shoe per se. It's decent sneaker. Oh, it looks good, kind of stylish, more or less fashionable, decent outsole, overall comfort pretty good. But again, if you are getting these specifically for running, you are better off looking around, because this is definitely too heavy for just regular running, unless you want to make it complicated for yourself and you want to make it a better workout for yourself. In that case, yes, okay, of course, sure. Again, if you are getting these as a trail running shoes, again, not very good, because first of all, on the heavier side, the outsole is a little bit lacking, the inner sole is a little bit lacking, so you could do better. And let's move on actually to the very last criterion here, criteria number 8, the price. Price is currently $76 on Amazon, $76.37. The link is in the description below, by the way. Definitely on the pricier side. For that price, you can definitely find much better running shoes, maybe even cheaper, honestly, much better running shoes, and even I would say close to, but definitely better, lower quality but better trail running shoes. Like for example from Saucony, all right, much lighter, much more applicable outsole, much more versatile. So for Puma, I think this is going to be a little bit hard to compete with all that stuff at that price range with all these kind of features. Again, if you don't really care for running or trail running or whatever, then yeah, sure, you're gonna like these. These are cool looking and they're very comfortable if you're just walking. A little bit on the heavier side, but definitely very comfortable. But if you are looking for something specific, you might be a little bit disappointed. Keep that in mind. So hopefully this review was useful for you. Let me know in the comments below, guys. If you have any requests, also drop them in the comments below, and I will be happy to address them. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was for Ultimate Survival Gear, and I'll see you guys in the next video.